47.
47.
Still here. Still doing it. I get confused. Is it still here or still doing it?
I don't remember. Maybe it's leaving us now.
Still here doing it.
Do you have a number goal in mind?
Hmm?
Do you have a number goal in mind?
I can't count that high. Triple digits would be interesting.
Triple?
Triple digit, yeah.
Oh, really?
Hit 100. That would be, you know,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you and I will continue to talk no matter what.
Yeah. May as well record it
Yeah, as well.
for both of our listeners. Today we might talk a bit about presence, being present in the moment, and maybe how a lot of the time we're not. Almost all of the time we're not. It's very rare that people in our modern world are present with now. We're often lost in thought. Maybe it's about what's happening in the future, or maybe it's about what's happened in the past. But w- when you do that, you're not, like, by definition, you're not present.
Yeah. With me, probably the biggest struggle with that is I get so excited about planning the future.
That's my problem too. Is I went on a run this morning. I listened to an Eckhart Tolle podcast, and he's talking about being present and this and that, and I'm like, okay, okay, and I will pause it to this is my be pausing it to contemplate this. And I'm like,
Like
oh
specific sections.
yeah, that's yeah, yeah, that's what I do, and um, I'm like, okay, thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be present, and then I'm like, man, I need to get this different type of fiber, and I'm just off. I'm just off, and it is. I guess it's future. I mean, it's definitely not past. It's future. There's past. There's I've got to return this old stuff, and now I've got to get the new stuff. But
Well, no, but that's the return the old stuff. You're still in the future
it's still in the
project.
future. Yeah, it's this planning, and
What does he say about that?
I mean,
Does that go into it?
I mean, yeah, he's like, you know, on one hand, nothing can happen without time, right? You need to build a house, you need to make a cup of tea. All that takes time. And he's like, the only thing that doesn't take time is is finding the finding the true nature of yourself. That's the thing. It's not that it doesn't. He's like, as long as you think it will take time, it will take time. It is something that happens outside of time. His example was basically imagine, close your eyes and imagine right now.
Me? Close my eyes.
Sure, you or
Sure.
you, dear gentle listener. Imagine that everything, your entire past, has been a dream, and now you wake up. Here you go. There is no past. Everything was a dream.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So you have no history. You have no anything solid to anchor into. Oh, it's just a dream. You can just forget it. It doesn't matter. There you go. And so, on one hand, that's kind of weird and hard to do because it's like, that's a real vivid dream. And, I should, in my dream, I had a bill I need to pay, and I really kind of need to pay that or whatever it is. But
but that's what happened to him.
yeah, he basically had a life reset.
Yeah, because he reached the end of his rope, and it was basically, I die, or is that him who said, this is it. It's either
Him
I
and
die.
Buckminster Fuller, right? They both had, like, on the verge of death or suicide.
Oh, wait, I just heard there was a story on Instagram where he talked about his precise awakening. He went to bed. Like somebody was contemplating suicide, but he went to bed, or something happened to him. You see, I should have remembered this. And then so basically he wakes up and he's just a different person. Like he wakes up and then peace has come to him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that reset, I had glimpses of letting go of chunks of self like
Yeah,
that,
me too.
but I did not have
I haven't had a. I mean, you
a
know,
complete reset.
right? There's moments in my life where I'm like, oh, this made this time or this event made a big impact, but it isn't a 100. I don't have 100% reset.
No, I don't either. Yeah,
Um,
I think, I think it is. I think a lot of people chase it in
right? I mean,
some
it's
way. Like once
there's
you start experiencing the little that goes, you start to
there's
chase.
this romantic idea of like, oh, if only I could achieve enlightenment, if only I could do this, then all my problems are solved. And
Is that what you thought?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, as opposed to like digging at your
Right?
problems and feeling them.
Yeah. Um, r- Remind me to go back there
I
later.
will not remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But the this is all right. Well, this is a huge digression. I just got an email. I think it was the Daily Stoic email, and he had a podcast with someone, and the snippet that I saw was I have to plan my day. I have to, it has to be 11 I have breakfast, and 1 o'clock I'm at the gym, and 2 o'clock I pick up the kids, and this and this and this. Because if I don't, then I have then I find myself alone with my thoughts, and I don't want to be there, so I have to schedule the day, and basically I have to keep myself busy, otherwise, you know he'll go into a dark place.
Is it? Is this?
And
Was this a satirical thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, this is for real.
Well, y- yeah, this is some other. This is not Eckhart Tolle. This is Daily Stoic. Uh,
But no, this is
I
not
mean,
like,
I
oh, and then I make fun of myself because this is fucked up. How fucked up I am, or
I
this is serious talk.
it looked like it was a serious talk. Now I don't know. I mean, this was a snippet. This was a 1 paragraph snippet
Oh,
out
maybe
of
later
an
they're like,
episode. Maybe hopefully later on they're like, and then I realized that this is a really shitty way to live. I
okay.
hope so. But I read that and I'm like, that's terrible advice. Maybe that's okay advice for someone who's at the end of their rope to get them through the day. But that is not good long-term advice. That is barely good short-term advice. That is like
Are you bare?
that's Band-Aid.
Well, I mean,
That's a tourniquet.
if you are at that point, you're barely hanging on.
Right. But
If that is
that's
the
a stop
extent
that's
of,
stop the bleeding level advice. That's not that yes. Will that work? Yes. In the same way that, drugs or alcohol will also work, but it's not
yeah,
good long-term advice. It's what it is it's
it's
staying
fear. It's
busy.
just fear. You're
Yeah.
demedicating. You're like trying to suppress the fear.
Yeah. Tying it back in, I just kind of realized this. That's a forced way to stay present. A forced way to not in as much as being present is almost the opposite of aimless thought. Like, okay, you're going to have focused thought. I'm trying to solve this problem. I'm trying to design this building. Okay, that's all fine and good. But the chatter in your skull thought is to me at least, the very opposite of presence. Oh,
So you're saying that because they're basically keeping themselves so busy to keep themselves away from chatter,
yes.
that they are not. They're forcing that. This is the question I have. Like I'm familiar with Eckhart Tolle's a little bit. I read I think one or two of his books, but the question I guess that I have is the you know if you have a complete reset of self and everything is hunky dory and you're on Buckminster Fuller, Eckhart Tolle, or Bruce Limpton's level and you have this clear vision of the universe, it is great. Um, and I just don't know what he says about this. Is what do you do about the monkey mind, the subconscious fears that are there when you are trying to stay present?
Right. I mean, he gives. I've heard him give some tips. Your being with your breath is the obvious one, and that even dates back to like uh, Buddhist teachings.
So
Is
is
as
his teaching just like, oh, look, you have this, you recognize. So I understand that he teaches recognition of an intrusive thought coming in or intrusive
yeah.
of a past coming in and then
Hmm.
overwhelming your present.
Yeah.
I understand that. I guess my maybe the clarification is what as you have that,
What do you do about it?
and then you go into breath, is the goal to just then always have that as your go-to?
I mean, I think my understanding is that that's the other Band-Aid. Yes, if you I guess in as much as the goal, if there is one, is to not have the monkey mind running. But for almost everybody, it does. Mine does. You know, on and off, good days, bad days, whatever. But recognize it. It's like, what is it? The mind is a great servant but terrible master. It's like thinking is great if you want to be thinking. But there are times when maybe you don't want to be thinking, especially that aimless monkey mind thinking, which is never great. It's not like there's a whole bunch of uh, people in there going, "Yeah, you're so awesome, yay!" You got a whole cheerleading squad up in there.
Well, I mean, to begin with, if you're not aware of the monkey mind, it actually runs a very negative
Yes, that's what I
story.
mean. Is that it's left to its own devices. Mine, at least, and I think most people's runs some very negative stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to focus in the past. It's like, oh my gosh, I did this. I wish I'd done it differently. I wish I'd done this differently. All that type of. It turns into like a
Subconsciously.
regret spiral.
Yeah, but it's all subconscious
It
almost. All
is. It is
subconscious. So you
subconscious,
have
and
these
it's
like very subconscious
yeah.
thoughts.
I'm not
I think
consciously thinking about it until I realize I have been consciously thinking about it.
yeah, it's hard to realize sometimes. Sometimes you're years in and you're like, oh
Yeah,
wait, I've been
I've
like
been I've
literally
been thinking about
stuck.
this for the last 5 years. That's messed up, and
Yeah.
and it's not. It's certainly not productive in any useful sense, right?
Yeah.
There's a place for reflection, but this is not reflection. This is just you're in a loop. You're stuck in a loop,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No, I'm familiar with
Yeah,
it. But when it happened to me, yes, I agree with him that it's not a moment of present at all.
yeah.
Like you're not in the present. To some extent, I think at the time I didn't even realize I wasn't in the present. Like I would
I didn't
say
either.
maybe 5 years, maybe even more. Heck, I just was not. I was
Me too.
lost, afraid, and then
Oh
like
my gosh.
running
Yeah,
all kinds of
my entire life, short of recently, it has been 100% not in the present.
yeah.
And it's only and I'm not 100% in the present now, but I'm better at catching it and going, wait a minute, I'm going to choose not to do that. And because if you're focused on your breath, you basically cannot have pointless thoughts. Your mind is occupied now.
Yeah, I guess with me, and I'm going back to everything that we have ever talked about, is that I just go back to why. That is the only thing that has ever worked for me based on my analytical mind or my personality or my traits. It's like why, understanding why almost to the core where I feel it. Like I feel the pain of the why. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or I feel the trigger. That I say the pain is the trigger for me. Like I feel the origin of that remnants or reminiscence. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel it, it to begin with, right? When you're first on the point of this discovery, I almost feel like you might not even get deep enough to know the why, but you can at least find the initial point of
Yeah.
stir,
I
the
don't think,
initial trigger.
yeah, I don't think I've done why for my monkey mind before. I'll have to do that next time it comes up. That's interesting. I'll catch it and I'll either focus on my breath or I'll count my breath or something. But
You didn't. I mean, it's quite simple because you and I are kind of in the same position right now. You're doing the whole rewiring of our networking, whatever, right now.
yeah.
You did not run a why on that?
Well, why I'm doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I hope to achieve out of it.
Yeah,
Is that
but
what you mean?
yeah, that's different than why. Like, I mean, we can run through this exercise just for I mean, one for an example and two, like how it looks and then what will come up.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, what I hope to achieve out of it is, I want to be able to access the hard drives in the basement faster, so that I can, at the very least, edit videos off of them and move files faster.
Mhm.
Right. That's the goal. That's the goal.
That's the physical interpretation of that.
Right. at the same time, it's interesting, right? It's
Mhm.
like a cool toy.
It's a toy.
It's a toy.
What does a toy offer?
Eh, Does it escape?
No, let's work through it.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna give you the answer, but I want you to to feel it, right?
I
Like,
mean,
that's the thing is, this is
yeah.
not this is not like me forcing it on you. It's you allowing yourself to go deep enough to where you feel where it's hitting.
You know,
And it actually it does not have to be good or bad, but it just has to be identified.
right. I realized that I didn't know a thing about it. I didn't know a thing about running fiber at all. And so I'm like, well, here is a hands-on way for me to kind of dive into something and gain some knowledge or expertise in this area that I have no idea about.
Yeah,
And
but don't what does it mean for you to
to know,
gain knowledge or
right?
to know?
I mean,
Or you realizing that you didn't know?
to some degree, then there's this, pride in, well, now I know something that I didn't used to know, maybe that
Mhm,
most people don't know.
mhm.
Uh,
Can be an expert in something, looked up to, or at least
right.
feel good that, "Look, I'm this
Yeah. I
person."
mean, not so much it isn't so much in a comparative thing, but it is like, well, yeah, I do feel good when I know things.
And
And I'm trying to figure out how this connects to,
no,
what
I don't
everything
want you
connects to.
I don't want you to tie something that you're already familiar with. That would be the wrong way to go about it. You can't go like, "Oh, surely this connects to the same thing that I'm already familiar with." Just have it
Yeah.
sit on its own. Have it sit on its own. Like, don't try to assign it back into a trauma or a pain or a pattern that you already know exists. Just allow this to be its own chain, propagate its own propagation.
Yeah.
Because the trigger behind it would that doesn't necessarily connect in the same way, right?
Yeah. So where I'm at, you know, there is pride in me knowing it and having experience with it. There is, this is going the wrong direction, but there is like, oh, I might be able to use this in the future for, whatever, all kinds of things. And then I go off in some fantasy land about, having these houses and, whatever, which is monkey mind territory also.
No, but
Can you help?
can I have
Yeah.
absolutely. See, my goal is not to tell you. I,
I mean,
the,
I'll tell you if it resonates or not too.
yeah, so there's a pride in knowing something that in the past you did not know.
Yes.
Does that have
That's true.
okay? And when you have pride in knowing something that in the past you did not know, how does it make you feel? Does makes you
It makes
feel
me feel like I've made progress. It makes me feel, I guess, better than I was.
okay,
I am now better. I am now better than I was
okay,
because now I know this, or now I can do this, or now, yeah,
yeah, and being better than you were means
I'm less bad. There we go. There we go. I'm trying to tie it into that, and I don't see. There it is. Yeah.
yeah, we have to feel it. Like
Yeah.
I
No,
can't.
that's it. That's it. That's absolutely it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes the networking project feel a little bit different now, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what usually happens to us. Whenever we feel our trigger, our deep trigger of not being good enough, right? Or being bad. And then like, oh wait, I know I'm not bad. Let me prove to myself all the ways that I'm not bad. Because that is a natural human behavior.
Yeah.
What we will do is we will externalize it so much that we'll find a project out there, which is
Right.
what you and I are very good at. We are very good
Yeah.
at having
Right.
external projects out there that will hide the actual trigger of where it's originating from. And then the sales pitch of, oh, but if I learn this, I'm going to use it on all these
Right.
other way is the
Yeah.
number one trick that you use on yourself
Yeah.
to justify why you're not going to discover where this actually coming
Right.
from.
And I wasn't even at that level I was at the, oh, this will be great because then I can use this practically
No,
level. So I
but
wasn't
that's
even
your sales pitch.
right.
That has always been your sales pitch.
Yeah.
Your sales pitch is justification of why this is the right thing to do. Because deep down, you actually know you're hiding something from yourself.
Mm.
Right. So it's like, I hate to say it, but it's like double manipulation of self.
Yeah.
You're like, your psyche is, you're really good at inventing these trickstery way of not getting yourself
No,
to look deep.
I know I'm really good at that.
No, but
And here's
that's why you have this block. Like, you have already said it. Uh-oh, you fell out. You okay? Oh no. She like literally fell out of her poof. When you have children in the crib and
you have to
you
put the pillows
well, you can't have pillows now. I don't know if
Oh.
that's the thing, but anyway. Yeah. So yeah, so the psyche, right? The psyche, and this is why I'm confused of how you can just be in the present without the deep, this process. And it's
Yeah.
not, I mean, just by this example, that's not a hard process.
Yeah.
It's just we hide it from ourselves. Right. And the fact, maybe a good indication on your end is if you're trying to do an Eckhart Tolle exercise, and the Eckhart Tolle exercise, like, oh, I'm going to be in the present, I'm going to be present. And then something sneaks up, and that something is even excitement. Then maybe that is like a pulsating answer
Yeah.
to like, wait, dive deep into this area and see where it's actually coming from.
Yeah.
What is pulling you away from the present? Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like with me, and that's why I said excitement is kind of like my difficulty too, right? Because at some point, chances are you're still doing the networking. You're still you like to have projects where you better yourself and then you better our house. Right? Like, how would you ever look at that as wrong?
Right. And
And so it's hard.
but looking at it as right or wrong is not the right way to look at it. There's the reason behind it. The project itself is irrelevant.
The sales pitch to you would have never been that there's anything unkosher there. When I say wrong, I mean unkosher, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's something behind it that goes along together with a sales pitch of like, oh, look, not only is this great for me, now I have knowledge and fiber.
Yeah.
And then, like, guess what? Like, anytime we do any kind of housing project in the future, I can, have this at my sleeve.
Yeah.
And it's like amazing, right? Like, and we talk about this all the time, doing things extensively, good things for good reason with zero fallout. And yet deep down, the trauma is sneaking in and has its way with you. Like, I know that's a weird way to put it, but it's almost that way. You're still swimming in that undisclosed trauma.
Yeah, that's interesting. That probably applies in more ways than I'm presently aware of right now to me.
Yeah. But like, but now, whenever you're going to go back to the project, because you're still going to continue to do it.
Yeah.
What is the thought? What will be your thought?
I mean, well, that's the thing is, once there's this like diffusion, once you recognize it, once you see it, it's like, it's been, the man behind the curtain's been unmasked. The man behind the curtain has been uncurtained. Reveal, there's the word.
Maybe that is a thing itself. It's not only a man behind the curtain, it's a man behind the curtain and behind the mask.
Maybe.
Because
both.
You double bury everything within things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you do like a twice removal to make it even harder for yourself to see through things.
Yeah. Right. And when it is revealed, it has this dissolving effect where it loses its power. It like just this right here, having this come up and me realize that, oh my gosh, yes, there it is again.
And you can feel it, right?
And I can feel it. There's no,
a physical,
I'm not,
physical.
Yeah, there's no making this up. There's a real charge there.
But describe the charge. Like, it hits where it hurts, right?
Yeah, it does. But at this level, it's almost a nauseating feeling to realize it. It's like, it's like part of me is like, oh, there it is again, and I thought I was better than this. There's a bit of that. Can't lie. But it's like this energy. It's like it's right about here. What is that? Solar
Yeah.
plexus or so?
I mean, this is all posterior chakra, but right now our stomach chakra is opening.
Oh,
So
maybe.
do you not feel sick to your stomach?
E-
Like
oh, yeah,
nauseous,
no,
like
yeah,
a
sure.
tightness in the
Yeah,
stomach?
I do, but that's separate from where the energy is. The energy feels solar plexusy to me.
But that right, you're pointing to the stomach, like the physical
It doesn't.
organ of a stomach.
Tell me it's here. Maybe I don't know.
I thought the stomach sits right there. When the
I guess when I have
ribs come up,
when I have a tummy ache, it's down here.
yeah.
But
But the tightness that I feel right now, that is coming up, and I'm more aware than ever before, is in my stomach.
perhaps,
I'm saying because that chakra is open.
perhaps, I don't know. It's in that general reason. To me, the where the charges and where the nausea is are two separate places.
Okay.
Um, either way, I can feel that, but that's come, that's gone, and now the idea of working on it has a different energy behind it.
What's the energy now?
Now it's this optimism. It's a very and it didn't feel like it was a bad energy before, but now looking back at it, I'm like, there was a cloud over it that I wasn't aware of. And now it's opened up. There's a potential there that wasn't before.
What would how was the cloud affecting the project?
Um Practically, I mean, I bought all this multi-mode stuff and then I'm like, "Oh, wait, that's the wrong thing to do. Should have bought this single mode stuff." So I have to return everything. Uh
Everything?
no, just the fiber related stuff.
But I thought that was like most of it.
No, that's the cheapest part of it. The switch will work no matter what. The other thing will work no matter what.
No, I guess how was the project being affected as far as like not energy behind it in a sense of an outcome, because that's what the
Right.
wrong parts are. But like, like how you're looking at the project, maybe subconsciously even, like now that you recognize
Right
it.
now that I recognize it I mean, on the surface, will I learn have I learned things? Will I continue to learn things? Yes, all this is true. So will I get quote better at it? Yes, that is true. But the getting better has become dissociated with being less bad.
Oh, because there was basically a push, an active push out to
Yeah,
become less bad.
it was a push away from less bad instead of a pull toward more good.
Is
Or
it actually more
maybe
good, or does it actually? I guess the question is,
I mean,
does
more
it
good,
good in?
more good. It becomes irrelevant. It becomes an, you know, yeah. I like to better myself, and now I'm looking at trying to think of all the ways that I do that, and all the ways that they're tied back to being less bad. But
But with you, you kind of have like maybe like a bigger thing to watch out for than even before. Anytime your thoughts of bad, all subconscious,
yeah, because I
come
never.
on board, but they come on board and you don't realize it.
Mhm.
Your tendency in the past, prior to identifying it, was like severe depression. Like
Yes,
enough of that blindness to the fact that that is your thought process in the background has driven you in the past to severe depression,
true.
right? And so, but now, because it doesn't go into a severe depression, but when the trigger still somehow comes up, and I guess this is another question that like I would explore if I were you. What causes that trigger to be pumped in to begin with? Like, what is the reset point at which all of a sudden this is more fertile than it was 2 months ago, right? Like,
Right,
what's the fertilizer that got thrown in order to start to make it grow?
right.
Like, what is the reset point to where, like, if you and I had this conversation, I don't know when, let's say 3 months ago, where we just went through all of the things where, like, oh, yeah, well, this idea of me being bad is obviously coming out of this space.
Right.
you would almost go through this
would I
like
have
cleansing or reset.
right? I would have probably connected it.
Connected it, or maybe not even had it as a trigger. Like you
Right.
wouldn't have even potentially taken on this project in the manner that you did in order to prove yourself good.
Right.
But I guess seeing through that, seeing through like, okay, well, this project is actually there to prove to myself that I'm not bad is great. But like the deeper process behind it would be what triggered it, like what brought it into fruition to even start on that line of work, right? How long have I been thinking that, and what was the trigger? Once again, like the triggers from the childhood, right? But what re-triggered it? What is the culprit that keeps on bringing it up on a larger level than the networking?
Right. It's like, it's easy to go, externally, what was the impetus to start doing this networking stuff?
Maybe,
but
I mean,
there was
we're exploring it, so yeah,
sure.
why not? What was it?
Well, I was frustrated with how long it was taking to copy stuff. And I'm like, surely this can go faster. And I start looking and I'm like, oh yeah, but this is gonna be really expensive. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What if it could be fiber? Oh, wait, that's faster and cheaper? What? Never crossed my mind. And so I'm like, well, now I'm down the rabbit hole of learning about what it is because I don't know what to buy.
Is there a trigger that when you discovered that it was fiber, that your closed-mindedness to ideas outside of the things you know triggered the, oh, look, I'm bad because I'm not even open to the potentiality of new?
Maybe. So
Because you tend to have that tendency a lot.
this was closed-mindedness? No, me?
Oh, no, right. You know, has spent a lot of times where you would like go, what's even the point of that? And like,
Yeah. No,
and I have pointed out to you because I'm like,
I am incredibly stubborn and I'm set in my ways and I think I know more than I actually know. And so I am
but networking.
opposed to even any opinion that is different from the opinion that I already have.
Point one.
Yeah.
But point two, apply that to something that you think you're an expert in.
Right. But I didn't even know what I didn't know with this.
No,
That's the thing.
But this is,
so I thought,
what's the trigger there? What's the challenge there? Where are you being challenged?
the challenge is to be open to realize that I don't know everything. And even if I do know, that doesn't mean that a different opinion or different path is not is wrong, right?
Yeah, but where did that challenge within your psyche?
Because I want to be right. Because if I'm right, then I'm not wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm bad. Probably.
No, I instead of saying that, probably like trace it down as a trigger point, trace it down as an energy. If they're like, right, this is the way. Stop me if this is not triggering. But if you're an expert in the field of networking and software and computers and all that, which is basically you have kind of positioned your psyche.
I know. I have built an identity for myself around that. Right?
Majority of your identity actually exists around that. You realize that, like,
Yeah. I'm that guy.
You're
right?
that guy, right?
Yeah.
And so, like,
No,
I know everything.
I know that much.
I know everything.
Right. Sure. Yeah. I was gonna say I know enough to know that I don't know everything, but yet at the same time, I
Your identity
feel like
is
I know
set.
everything.
Yeah, your identity is set.
And I have opinions that, let's be honest, probably wrong, probably outdated because,
knowledge outdated.
yeah,
Technology has changed a lot.
technology changed a lot.
You have
right?
not.
I have not. I'm a dinosaur here. How old
Well,
I am.
But I'm saying these things not to be mean, but to show you the showcase of what is it like for you to have your authority on something that you believe that you're an expert in be challenged.
Yeah.
And then do you have the trigger right now of feeling like your identity is being dissolved because this thing that you're an expert in, all of a sudden turns out you know nothing about.
Um,
And in fact, somebody
well,
who you have a
it's
lesser opinion of might know something more about it than you do.
yeah. Well, random people on the internet,
Sure.
because that's who I'm learning from is random people on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. What? So my original plan, which was using stuff that I already knew about,
Old stuff.
old
Old
stuff,
shitty
was old
dinosaur stuff.
ghetto stuff, old and busted stuff, was to do it all over copper because, duh, that's how you do it, right? I've got copper. I know how
Well,
to work with copper.
That's the details.
As
I'm
the,
talking about psyche.
well, I'm getting there,
Okay.
and it's expensive and it's hot and it uses a lot of power, and I'm like, it felt wrong. It would have worked, but there was something about it. There was some resistance to it inside of me, and it just felt wrong. And so I kept not doing it. And at one point, I'm like, wait a minute. And this was a big deal for me. What if I throw all of that out the window and I'm like, in some sort of fantasy perfect world where there is unlimited budget, what would I do? And I'm like, well, I'd probably run fiber up, because that's got to be super expensive, but it's fast and everything. And that set me down the path of this was that let me throw away everything that I know and what is the ideal situation?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, let me see what this ideal situation is in reality. Let me go look up what this stuff costs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh wait, that's cheaper and uses less power? Wait, what? That was the thing, was I had to make that mental shift of part of it's, let me dream big, and part of it's let me just not restrict myself with my quote knowledge.
Yeah. But what do you think it is subconsciously? Do you think subconsciously is threatening your ego and your psyche?
It was actually really liberating. It felt amazing. On one hand, it felt amazing to allow myself to basically dream, right?
Yeah.
Because, and we've talked about this dozens of times, you know, I want this house. I want this job. I want this much money. I want this car. Instead of, I want a place that helps fulfill my life. Or I want, something that will help me get from here to there,
Mm-hmm.
which may be a car, maybe a bus ticket. I don't know. Whatever it is,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're limiting ourselves with these very
Well,
concrete notions of what
or
of
that
what is.
limited knowledge.
We have
Right.
limited knowledge, and through that limited knowledge, and out of that, here's what I know, and out of that, here's what I like, and so what I want is some small subset of this instead of the unimaginable universe.
Yeah.
So when I did that, it was this like epiphany moment to me of there is more out there than I know. Surprise. Here I am, right? Duh. Um, and that opened up a whole world that I got to rabbit hole my way down into
Yeah.
and learn about it.
Why you proving to yourself that you're not bad came into it? How did that tie into the fact that you have allowed yourself to open and like start manifesting something or exploring a path that is outside of your comfort zone, or like allowing yourself to feel like it is okay to open into this new field and learn new things?
Well,
Like, how do they
I
tie
think it's
in?
both. It's like, yeah, on one hand, this opened the door to learning all these new things, but on the other hand, you start off you start off at zero with them, right?
Is that the
Right.
trigger? The trigger,
Right.
like, oh look,
The
I'm
trigger is
opening,
I'm opening up to this whole new world, and I'm coming in as an incompetent beginner
and that's a
who
trigger for
doesn't,
you.
boy, this fiber's aqua, this fiber's yellow. I don't know what that means. Now I know what that means, but I didn't know what that
So
means.
to you coming into something that you know nothing about is a trigger in that I am bad.
Yeah, there's an I am bad to it. There's a frustration to it. There's a with almost anything that you learn, there's this I've seen it before. If I can find it, it's up here. There's this like learning curve where you start off. Everybody starts off at 0 with pick something you want to learn. You start off at 0, right? But you grow really fast to begin with if you apply yourself and put time in, right? But that very beginning part it's frustrating because you're not past the useful threshold, right? There's this learning language is a really great example. It's like you start off at 0 and there's no point even trying to talk to someone because it's nothing. But once you become, I'd like to say like a 5-year-old, if you can talk like a 5-year-old, check. You can converse. Can you talk about quantum mechanics? Probably not. But you can order a meal. You can talk about getting your drone stuck in a tree. You can futz your way through enough stuff. And I don't know the word for this, but I know I can word it in a roundabout way type of stuff. There's this level of calling it mastery is being really generous. There's this level of competency.
Yeah.
But getting to that level of competency is incredibly frustrating, at least for me. Because it feels like
that within that getting to level of competency, you have a trigger into I'm bad?
Yeah, I'm bad or I'm bad is I'm not sure that bad is the right one here. It's more incompetent. Although maybe incompetent is bad. There's that level in between.
Well, you have to feel it.
It does go down to I'm bad, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm bad because I'm incompetent. Now I'm incompetent because I don't know anything. And I don't know anything because it's all new.
Yeah. But I think it is important to feel the triggers through each one of those words.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the incompetence is a bigger spark than bad.
I don't know anything, therefore I'm bad. That's not a straight line to me. But I don't know anything, therefore I'm incompetent. Yeah, I can relate to that. And I'm incompetent, therefore I'm bad. Okay, yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah, but it's important to actualize each one of those adjectives.
That's the ladder right there.
Okay, so that's what the trigger was.
I mean, I feel that about languages too. I feel that about Russian. I haven't passed that competence threshold, and it frustrates me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but that's why you started to learn Spanish.
Right.
For a very set of wrong reasons.
I know that. That much I know.
More reasons than you recognize.
I recognize a lot of reasons.
You have had 20 years to learn Russian.
I know.
And then you basically have branded yourself as incompetent and then thus bad.
Yeah.
So your entire relationship with me is based on the fact that you do not know Russian, and then therefore you're not meeting my needs in some way because you're not learning Russian.
This much I know. Yes.
No, but that's a huge trigger. So your relationship between you and I is strained just based on that fact alone, that you feel like you're not meeting me where you need to.
I mean, I no longer feel like, there's an expectation that I'm gonna learn it, that there's I would love to learn it and I put some time into learning it, but
you're learning it for the wrong reason though.
Probably that too, yeah.
Yeah, but it will never register as long as you feel like, right? Because that trigger of you not knowing the language spikes what? Incompetence?
Yeah, incompetence. And there's anxiety around it too. There's this, why is this so hard? Spanish came so easy. Why is this so hard? It's hard on a completely different level. Go for it. What are you gonna say? It's hard because of the energy in there.
It's hard because what is learning?
What is it?
What does learning Russian mean to you? That Spanish quite obviously does not present.
I mean, it is, I guess, getting closer to you, isn't it? Yeah.
And what does getting closer to me means?
Getting more love?
No, don't ask me that.
Probably getting more love, yeah.
From me.
Yeah.
Because Russian represents me.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
And so when you get more love from me, what would that do?
I mean, in as much as love is the goal. I mean,
no. Why is love the goal?
Because I still feel unloved, unlovable.
By
Myself?
No.
No?
Begin with it's me.
Maybe?
No?
Maybe?
Would learning, I mean, open up to this idea. I mean, tell me if this is a no. But would learning Russian bring you closer to me and then thus have me love you on a different level than me loving you right now is? Is
Right.
there
I mean,
is there a thought process that you being fluent in Russian has you connecting with me on a different level
yes. Yes.
because
Because then there's this intimacy there.
that
And
is not
that is like this, you know, well, I recognize that this is a romanticized
and no, 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 no,
version of
no, no,
it.
no. Don't. I don't want a narrative and excuses of why this is not the case. The how you proceed with this is there's this
Yeah.
intimacy
There,
there that will come on board because it would be different than the intimacy that we have now because it is a connection. How is that connection different than connection with us in English?
I mean, in reality, I don't know that it would be,
No, no
but
excuses out.
I don't know.
What me in Russian? Do you feel my energy in Russian?
Most of the Russian you speak is angry, but I don't think it would be to me.
Most of the people's interpretation of Russian language is interpreted as angry.
Well, the people that you have spoken recently with in Russian, it hasn't been happy, light
Hunky
conversations,
dory,
right?
butterflies, and rainbows.
And I'm not even specifically talking about your parents here.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, no, but if you go
I mean,
into
it's not as bad as German as far as
if you go into the energy of me speaking a Russian language, what does that in your mind set as? Or maybe if you leave your mind, what does in your heart feel as? What is Russian, me speaking Russian represents to you?
me being able to speak it or you speaking it.
No, me speaking it.
It's, I guess, it's a disconnect. It's something that it's not that you can do it and I can't. It isn't about some sort of competitive skill thing. It's about here is an aspect that I am unable to relate to or partake in. And on one hand, I do feel left out, but it isn't the left outness so much as the desire for the connection of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I
Connection
feel left
of
out when people are speaking Chinese, but
yeah.
That's
Yeah, but you're not married to them.
true.
So connection how?
How?
Like deeper connection with me.
Yeah, a deeper connection. It would, I mean, I'm going to all the practical things, you know.
But let's say you imagine you're fluent and you speak in Russian, right? Logically, what does that change?
Logically, I realize it really changes not much.
Exactly. So this is
I know that.
so
I
you
know
cannot
that, you
have
know,
this
okay,
conversation with me on a
I'll
logical
be able to
level.
say something to you that the kids won't understand. I'll be able to say something to you in a restaurant about the people next to us and they won't understand it. Okay, great.
Pause.
None of that's
Yeah, pause.
that's all stupid stuff.
Connection with me, because in Russian the connection will be different because you will connect to what portion?
Younger you?
Is that it?
I
Younger?
don't think so. Because I don't
More intimate?
it's it it almost feels like, you know, okay, we've got this, you know, here's the dictionary. Here's our communication is restricted to this dictionary. And here's an option to plop down a whole nother dictionary. And I know there's a lot of overlap, but like in as much as there are things that can be expressed better in one language or the other, it would open up more a new palette,
Yeah.
right? And it's those nuances are so far down that curve of mastery that makes it frustrating too. But it opens up a new yeah a new palette to paint with.
Yeah, but because you feel like there's a separation in intimacy based on the fact that we have one language and I have this whole other language.
Yeah,
Do you perceive a portion of me being tied in into another language that is missing in English?
reword that.
The amount of disconnect that you feel that could be like your and my relationship could be deeper and could be more intimate if you or let's say you're fluent in Russian, or all of a sudden boom, completely fluent, 100%, zero thought process, right? Do you feel like there's a connection there with me that exists in that time and space that is a different, deeper, more intimate connection than you would ever achieved in English?
I mean, I think I feel that, even though logically, I don't think that's
I
true.
don't care what the logic is. I want you to feel.
I think I do feel that.
Okay, so then what is that? Like how does that feel?
Um, it feels more rounded, more complete, more in as much as there's this part of you that I'm unable to re- relate to, uh, communicate with, I guess, and it would open the door to that.
Okay. Okay, so then what you're striving for is to connect to the pure essence of me on the deeper level, because that essence is being held in the more intimate form of communication.
Yeah, and it's like, do I honestly believe that that is not possible with English? No.
No, stop going
But
back
so
to logic.
no,
Why
I know,
why
but
does everything have to
because
be
when I say these
bounced back?
because when I say these things, they sound ridiculous.
But this is you opening yourself up to your intuition of how you feel, regardless of how logic feels. That is the whole point of you allowing your emotions to be your truth, and then thus be able to process what is stuck, is taking the logic out, because thus far logic has kept you blind. Logic is basically your ego manipulating yourself away from truth in this case.
But yeah, I mean, that is it. I feel that there would be some sort of deeper connection. You know, what it is nebulous. How that would come about, nebulous. Adding logic to it, yeah, but um, yeah,
Yeah, but when you say, I don't understand, or how are you worded it, why is it so difficult to learn Russian? The words are not, as why is it so difficult to learn Russian? Why is it so difficult for me to connect so intimately with you?
um, I don't know.
No, why not?
In as much as learning Russian may be a way into a deeper connection.
But you subconsciously have positioned the answer to a more intimate connection as you learning Russian. You have taken going, wait, I don't have an intimate, more deeper connection with Tanya. Why is that? And you're using Russian as an excuse for that justification. And so instead of seeing the overall feeling of what you actually feel, because you have positioned Russian as your logical excuse and explanation for it, you have this goal of like, oh, look, the second I master Russian in every way possible, boom, zarame, my problem of intimate connection with Tanya is solved and everything is hunky dory.
Right. Which obviously makes no sense.
It doesn't matter. That is subconsciously, that is what you have designed in your mind. You have designed the answer to your intimacy issues with me as the language.
Yeah. I mean, I fully expected that this would not be hard for me to learn and I would learn it. And, I've had obviously plenty of time. And from the beginning, I'm like, well, duh, I'm a smart guy. I can do this. I'm also frustrated because the reality doesn't match what I expected it to be.
Expected.
I expected when we first met, I'm like, well, yeah, I'll learn Russian. I had a year or two of Spanish in high school, and that was easy. It was not hard. It was trivial. And I'm like, well, Russian, it is I guess, harder language on the CIA level of languages, right? It's up there.
What are you trying to solve with Russian?
But what am I trying to solve with it?
Right. I think you have to
there
look
you
at
go.
that.
That's it. What am I trying to solve with it? What am I trying to solve with it is communication with you, right? If it wasn't for you, would I ever bother learning it? No.
Do you think if it wasn't for me, would Russian ever be hard for you?
That's the next question, isn't it?
I
Right?
think the answer would be no. It would be a very easy language to learn. Yes, the problem that you're trying to solve with Russian is not learning Russian. The problem that you're trying to solve with Russian is how can I get closer to my wife?
Well, maybe separating those will make progress in both,
Well, no, but I mean the right
right?
process of progression now would be what is it that you're trying to solve with me? What that missing chunk of intimacy that you and I have that you perceive between us. And I'm not saying justifiably right or justifiably wrong. It doesn't even matter. Your
Right?
truth and the lack of intimacy with me
Right.
is being perceived from where, from how, what comes up. I guess it doesn't. You don't have to answer any one question. Like if you go, what is
Yeah,
this chunk of intimacy that's
it's
missing?
really nebulous. There's no solid thing I can point to. It's, oh, we need more of this or less of that. There's not.
No, but that's because this is the first time you're coming across this thought process. So it doesn't have to be defined right now, but it has to be explored as a feeling.
Yeah. I mean, does it feel like there is a possibility for more? Yeah. Is that a euphemistic way of wording? Does it feel like something's missing? Probably.
No, what's missing?
Oh, what's missing?
You were once again at a blank.
I'm at a blank. I don't know what's missing.
Okay, so you're
I
hiding
mean,
something from yourself.
probably,
Okay,
yeah.
so
I mean, Russian, obviously.
the what?
Russian's missing, obviously.
Yeah,
That would
right.
solve it all.
Yeah, so if something deeper is missing, and that something deeper, you can feel it where it is. Like you can feel where if it were to exist, where it's not existing. Can you feel that spot on yourself?
Um,
Or how about this empty spot of where it's not?
feels lower than the heart.
Yeah, but how does it feel?
I mean, there's a charge there, or maybe it's a negative charge there.
No, yeah, which charge?
I mean, like a gap, I guess.
Yeah, and gap in what?
Yeah, but where?
In what? Like gap of what? What is the gap? If you had to put words into it, what would be some of the words that would chunk it themselves in?
Mm. Closeness, maybe.
What else?
I mean, looping the circle around intimacy,
Yeah.
right?
What else? What kind of intimacy? What kind of closeness? Like closeness that you feel, or a deeper closeness or deeper intimacy?
What do you mean that I feel?
Like, do you feel close to me right now?
Yeah,
Not right now, but in general, like
yeah, I
every
do.
day.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but compare that closeness to the closeness that is missing. What's the net difference?
What's weird is that it's almost this weird remnant of this closeness that I really didn't feel in the past
With who?
with you. Like, go back a couple years and it's, I'm like, there it is. There's what's missing that is not as pronounced right now.
So
So it's I it's really hard to narrow to put it into words because it in a way it feels like it's just kind of left over from a previous time and it was never processed or dealt with, and it was just kind of this like, oh, this is how it was back then, right? And then I would just carry that forward.
so you feel like you do have the intimacy and the closeness that you that right?
I certainly do a whole lot more than I did a couple years ago.
So
Is there still something missing? I don't know.
well, that's so you at all times you can evaluate, do not insert, but evaluate like term intimacy, right? And you can take time and you can pause and you can, close your eyes and you can go, okay, this is how fulfillment and intimacy with Tanya as my partner feels like. Let's say you only do it towards the evaluation against me as the partner. And then you can go, okay, well, close your eyes. Okay. You know, now I'm getting into it.
Compelling.
So, right, but why an excuse that this is not compelling? Why the
I don't know how this would be to watch or listen to.
okay, it doesn't matter.
No, really.
No one's watching and listening to anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so right, like if intimacy is a bubble, like there's sphere, a spherical space of being, and you can know its full potential of intimacy. And then you go, okay, how does it feel for that sphere to be complete in regards to my intimate interpretation of my relationship with Tanya? Do you know how 100% feels like?
I'm not sure I do.
Okay. Fine. Okay, close your eyes.
That's its own problem, probably.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so go into the space where the intimacy bubble is filled with your intimate connection to the creation, the universe, the being, the oneness, like the most desired aspect of love that is the creation. This is, you're not interpreting yourself into it, right? You're interpreting it, you as part of that universal consciousness.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how that feels?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Now,
it feels whole and
does it feel
complete.
okay? So like register that as 100%,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now apply your idea of intimacy to me into that space. And I'm asking you not to apply it into the intimacy of us. I'm asking you to reverse it from the bottom on up. Apply my intimacy into that space. Does it even belong or does it even fit in? Can they even coincide? Like, can they even be mashed together as oneness? If frequency of one is something and frequency of you and I is something, can they come together because their frequency match?
Yeah.
Does your and my intimacy feel like it's filling up the exact proportions of that space, or is there a missing chunk or gap? Do not insert, do not propagate down, up, down, right? Try to only see the bottom and see how it compares to the fullness.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to answer this.
No, the most obvious way that it would hit some sort of spot in your body. Not through the heart, but through the lower chakras.
I guess no, it feels like there's still room to grow.
Yeah. So identify that missing chunk, right? What is that missing chunk? What's the difference that is keeping it from being at 100%? What's the
It,
blank space?
it's probably, I think it's my openness to letting it be there. I think I somehow got it capped off. I don't know. There's some part that feels like I don't deserve it or something.
No, explore that. I mean, don't ask me a question. Say it.
Yeah. There's some part that still has this. I've had this. I know I've had this
Don't
a
try to
lot in the
relate.
past. No,
Don't try to relate to something. Like allow it to be its own chain.
there's this feeling of, that I don't deserve happiness that is apparently still there.
Full scale of intimacy, like unconditional love.
Right. So it's like I can't open it to 100%. I won't let myself open it to 100%. Or
You don't
maybe
des-
I
you don't deserve to have it open to
I don't deserve to
100%.
have it opened. Am I afraid to have it opened? Is it a little bit of all of them? Definitely I don't deserve to have it open or something.
So I think, Russian is basically kind of like a permanent set point at which it's an excuse out into the physical world
Yeah, I know it is.
of why you and I will, never be at the full point of full expression of our relationship.
Right. And, sitting here, I can say even if I had mastered that, I would find whatever the next thing is to be the next excuse, right?
Yeah. But having identified that you don't deserve full intimacy or full closeness because you are bad, because you are unlovable.
Yeah, bad and unlovable in some way,
Yeah. Because
right?
then,
So I better I better learn more about networking so I'm not bad,
yeah, but if you're in the space of that universal consciousness where it's you feel the 100% fulfillment,
right?
right? You're not judging yourself from the standpoint of bad and
That's the
unlovable.
thing is in that mode there is no there's no judgment.
There's no
There's no
presence. There's
there's no
no
thought. There's
thought.
no you are present. You're bringing it back around. You are fully present there. And clearly I'm not fully present,
The ability to have your heart open to possibilities of anything. In
right?
this case, intimacy and love.
Yeah, right?
Just because you're taking the wholeness and you downgrading it into the pain body and the trauma that still exists, and then thus the relationship that is the wholeness that could exist in the wholeness that could exist in the isness, and the isness could be anything,
Right,
is not even allowed to hold space there, because in this case you don't deserve it.
right. It's like a weird analogy, but it's almost like, I need to do what I did with the network stuff and go, wait a minute, throw away everything that I know. What does perfect look like? which is a weird thing to say, but what is, stop putting limits on it. Stop going, well, it has to be this because this is the way I know it. Just don't don't think about it in that context. Just open it up to what is beyond possible. You know, what is in this infinite universe instead of limiting it down, which is what I've done. I've limited it down into this, here's what I maybe deserve, or here's what I can achieve, or here's what I can get, or whatever, and I'm locked inside of that bubble, which is just a small bubble inside of the universe.
Yeah. Well, if you're a full ray of light and you're coming in as a fractal being and your goal is to experience fractalized version of it, then that's just your lens. What you're describing is the lens at which you have reincarnated here to see the
Lens is
universe
a good way
through.
to look at it. It is, yes. I clearly look at our relationship through that lens, and the lens has a whole lot blocked off that I didn't even know was blocked off.
Yeah, the question, I guess my question is to further like extend this. Why? Why block it off from yourself? If there's a potentiality of fullness, right, and you can feel it and you can touch it without a definition to Tanya or definition to Earth 2024 or whatever, right? If you know the fullness, why the choice into blocking it off?
I mean, I know I've always felt that way to some degree. I mean, not specific to you, but felt some sort of, undeserving of love, undeserving of happiness, undeserving period.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, so you already feel that, and you know
I mean,
how that feels like in the lower
I felt that
chakras.
from early childhood.
Yeah. So, but you're taking your low childhood trauma of I'm unlovable, I'm bad, I don't deserve things, and you're applying into our relationship. That's what has come out of it. But what I'm asking you is now take the upper space of that wholeness, right? And then you know how that feels. You know how 100% of it feels like without any definitions or fractalizations. Why choose to fractalize? Why choose to experience less than, or choose like to believe that you don't deserve it, or choose to believe that you're not unlovable and that you're actively bad? So yeah, so you feel the essence of this oneness. You feel the wholeness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the question is, you bringing this ray down of you, that 100% that you feel,
Right.
you're bringing it down through this funnel, right? And then there's these cutoffs, right? These little dams. You dammed up the fullness. And now you're choosing to experience a narrow down version of just a little bit of deserving and just a little bit of completeness and just a little bit of love. Why the dams?
Damn. Um, I don't have a good reason for that. I mean,
No, I mean, what comes up? Like, if you had to have a stupid ass excuse that you threw out at me right now, what would that be?
because I've always felt that way. I mean, but that's just I've just deferred it for the 40 years ago.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from the bottom up.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from the top
I
down,
mean, there is no good reason to have them.
no,
I
but
mean,
what is the reason? From the top down, what is the reason? I'm not asking you to look from the bottom up. From the top down, what is
from a
the reason to
cosmic
have it?
scale, what is the reason that I'm in this situation?
Sure, what is the choice? You incarnate, you're a full being of completeness,
In as
and you
much as
come into this life.
it is my responsibility, and I have decided to experience this. Why? That?
Sure, if that's what you believe. Do you believe you coming here? Do you believe that you're full if you're able to experience the wholeness, right?
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
believe that you're full? You can touch on the completeness of it, but then you come in here with a decision to have these dams. I guess, is that your decision? Is it your decision that you are damming that off?
I mean, I would say it would have to be my decision. Who else's
Mm-mm.
decision could it be? So yes, it's my decision.
I'm not trying to use logic. I'm trying to let you feel it.
I mean,
Feel the dam. Who is responsible for the dam?
I mean, I'm responsible for the dam.
Can you feel
There's
that?
yeah,
Can you feel the dam?
yeah. There's
Okay.
no
So
yeah.
then why the dam? If you're responsible for the dam, why the dam?
I mean, it sounds like a cop out answer to to say something about to have the experience
Does it
of
feel
that
like
or
a cop
something.
out?
It feels like a cop out. It feels like that's just yeah. I mean, that feels like I've kicked it off in some supernatural realm, and that's not a great answer to why. And that's a catch all answer that you could say for everything. Why is this black? Well, the universe wanted it to be black. That's not a great answer. That's not a That's not a productive answer. How about that?
What would be the productive answer?
I don't have a productive answer to that. To why? I mean, there might be something there in, this going through this experience, you know, lets me feel what it's like before and hopefully after the dams have burst, you know, and then I'll have this, both sides worth of experience to that I can then apply and possibly help other people with. Like, oh, I know what that's like. I've been there, but on the other side is this amazing something like that.
Yeah, but
I can see how while this side sucks, and it's a useful tool to be able to have an experience of both. I can see that. That feels
but
slightly less cop outy.
it's hitting you right now. Where is it hitting you? You're being emotionally stirred right now.
Yeah.
Why?
Um, because it there's this sense that it's like could have been avoidable.
Because there was an active choice into pain.
Yeah. There's the
The emotional influxes.
there's the regret of like, why did I choose this? This is not what anybody would want. Not what I would want from a if you sat down and thought about it, do you want to experience all that love has to offer or not? Well, of course, everybody does. I certainly do. And yet, here I am choosing to not to. So there's this pang of, regret, remorse in
Toward
that toward myself, toward lost time. I don't know.
does it make you bad?
Bad's not where I would go with that.
Does it make you more unlovable?
Only indirectly. It's no, it doesn't. And other than as much as, me restricting it has its own, well, if I can't be fully open to love, then doesn't that by definition make it harder to love? But, the the choice doesn't seem to make me unlovable.
So the influx that you have made choice in order to restrict the amount of love that you get makes you sad. Why?
It's like, I mean, I go through this with every big realization. There's this period of like, oh, I wish I'd known this sooner
Because
because then I could have, worked on it sooner. And then we
you could
could
have
have,
had more love earlier.
yeah,
So there's this regret of still not having love.
yeah,
Is it slight regret into the amount of pain you caused yourself through those choices?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it is that I wish I'd chosen different earlier.
So is it in the way recognizing the child aspect of you that suffered so much without love?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what it's all connected to that. Sure.
Yeah. So you were actively recognizing that. Oh look.
I've taken this childhood thing and I've carried it forth.
Well, no, you're taking yourself as a child, the most vulnerable version of self, and you
Who inherently felt these things, felt
who's pure and light and has
yeah, and
ultimate love and ultimate
right. And then
connection.
I closed it off
You hurt yourself as a child.
Yeah. And I've taken that and I've just carried it forward for 40 some odd years.
Yeah. You broke
And
yourself as a child.
I broke myself and I never bothered to realize that I was broken or that it could be fixed. It just seemed like that's just the way things are. Like,
But
and you know,
as a children, when we don't receive the love that we think that we're supposed to, right? That sits in like, oh, this is just the way the world is. The
yeah,
world
right.
is just broken
It is
this
not,
way.
it is not, on one hand, it's not obvious that it could be any other way.
Well, because we don't know,
And on the other hand, there is this,
knowing that it can.
yeah, sense that something's missing,
Yeah.
which I guess is where we started this sense that something's missing. Oh, it's been productive, at least for me.
you know, the the thought process, and I'm guilty of it, the thought process of thinking that you're undeserving, even to take this space on this podcast to do this, is still the sentiment of undeserving.
Yeah, I
To take
know.
up space, to take an episode to work on your issues, to
Right,
subject other people to it,
right. There's this
which is logically doesn't make sense.
right
But
part of me is like, oh, I should just stop the camera, or maybe I won't edit this one, or maybe, I all that's crossed my mind sitting here.
yeah, because you're undeserving. Because
Right.
that
Because
like I
then,
don't deserve the love. I don't deserve to be
right.
heard. I don't deserve
I
to
mean,
be
at
seen.
the deep level, it is that. At the more surface level, it's like, well, who wants to hear me go through this? That's, I'm just sitting here going, oh, for half of it. Uh,
Yeah, but that's
that's the process.
well, that's the sentiment of recognizing that, like, oh, look, I'm not deserving of this space. Or
Right.
if there's such thing as space, you even think that there's a space and then you're not deserving of.
Right.
I would not stop processing that, right? Like I
No,
would,
that's gonna sit with me for a good while.
and I mean, like I would let it flow, not just sit with you. I would allow that to flow further.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess to bring it back for the sake of the podcast, I think that is how being in the present looks like. I'm not trying to diss Eckhart Tolle, but that is what
Right.
presence is
Yeah.
uncovering these subconscious, deep ingrained patterns
Right.
that are affecting like the flow of life.
Yeah. And there,
Unless you reset them, like again, like I say, maybe there's a magical way for a complete reset and erasing of all the past.
yeah, but I think that is a vanishingly small percent of humanity that happens to.
Yeah, but
And
if you
I mean, on one hand, to be so lucky that you don't have to do this, which is hard and it's unpleasant and it's
yeah,
emotional.
but think about it, to be so
But
lucky is a thought process of like, I wish I didn't have to go through this pain. But
yes,
the
exactly.
choice of your lifetime and choosing to have a dam on love is the choice into processing this. This is the when you made the choice to make the dam back when you were reincarnating into this world, you knew that this was the process you were going to go through, the pain of understanding of how it feels to limit yourself from the full potential of oneness.
Yeah. And the that delta between this and the beauty that opening it up would do. I mean, there's this, in the human spectrum of feelings, there's good feelings and there's bad feelings, right? I mean, even physical feelings, oh, I've got an itch, scratching it feels good. Maybe this is a great example. Maybe you shouldn't scratch an itch, but um, in in as much as if you've got your baseline and you've got the good and the bad, right? The baseline to good is often not as pleasant of an experience as going from bad even to neutral. Like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I've got an itch and I scratch it. Okay, that's nice. Well, that's not it. I'm trying to think of what's a you get a good massage. Okay, and that's wonderful, right? But oh, I've got a splinter in me, and now it's no longer bothering me. Is better in some way. I've really got to pee, and I've really got to pee, and it's just horribly unpleasant. And then you pee, and it's just okay. That difference is better. Is a better experience. The delta there is better than baseline to whatever, to anything. And imagine, peeing, having to pee really bad is not even that far down that list. So there is this beauty in going from the down in the dumps to the baseline or even above. You know what I'm trying to say?
So at the core, we all remember the uninterrupted flow of oneness and essence and love.
Yeah.
And so when we come in and we fuck ourselves over with the choices of our trauma, ourselves, right? Selves, like based on, just this. The longer we spend suffering in that causation of our own choices, the longer we spend time in pain, the more high we receive when we turn around and see the clear path of our choices that cause that pain.
Sure. Yeah. Imagine someone who lives on a cabin overlooking the mountain range and everything, and they wake up and every day for 80 years, that is what they see. It's beautiful, sure. But how does that compare to someone who's never seen that and goes up and spends a week at that cabin and looks out and now they're like, oh my gosh, with the mountains and the fog and the trees. They have the same physical experience, but at the same time, the difference is that delta between
Yeah, because we
is
live.
different.
Yeah, because in this density, we can perceive denser emotions
Yeah.
as having an enormous emotional charge in perception, right? And then the offsetting or releasing of the density and connecting to the wholeness that is oneness, that is the essence of all galactic families or the universe, let's say, if you don't want to talk about galactic families, is a huge high. Like it is quite literally for us a huge high.
Right.
Now, of course, there's the processing of the regret. And then
Yeah.
does that make me feel bad? The fact that I chose these dams in my life and then
Yeah.
chose the lesser experience or whatever.
Yeah.
But that is a process of experiencing fullness from knowing something else. That is the Shakespearean drama of life.
Yeah. I know
What we just went through is the showcase into the choice of a gameplay. And then you recognizing that the gameplay sucks ass. And at age of 43, yeah, I didn't realize I was still playing that. And that's what this process is. You have opened your eye to one line of drama.
Yeah.
But there's multitude of dramas.
There's a lot of drama.
There's simultaneous plays all at once.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to diminish this
No, I mean
process.
it's always obvious to me that there are hundreds, thousands of dramas that I don't know are going on, but I'm in the middle of. I know that.
Yeah, but
I just don't know what they are.
Yeah, but
And
in truth
just
is
found 2 or 3 right now.
limiting yourself to the potentiality of full expression of ability to receive, let's say, if not full love with uninterrupted flow, but more love.
Yeah, that's
Opening yourself up to more heart, opening yourself up to more of you and lesser perception of you. Like has this thought process of like, wait, there's this different reality beyond those choices.
yeah.
And the choice into that reality becomes very obvious when you experience the pain. In your case, that energetic influx that brings up tears into like, wow, there's a choice. And it is okay to feel shitty ass going, fuck, like I have subjected myself to this many years of choosing not to have love or full potentials of love because I've decided that somehow I will receive this much out of this junk. I deserve 10% out of 100, or I deserve 20% out of 100. That's all subconscious, but that was a choice into how much you dam off the flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your fractalization into this world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and the high is high.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't craft a situation in order to try to get that high at the end. But in as much as that these are things that I want to identify anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're not identifying them for the high.
I
You're
wouldn't
identifying them
I would never purposely shut it off in order to feel what it feels like to open it back up at the end.
in this dimensional
Right.
reality, but the truth is you did.
Yes. Yes.
From the higher standpoint, you crafted this experience in order to have this
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
I mean, think
I would- yes.
about the potentiality of you right now piping in your physical density and being able to, can you right now take the physical density that you just experienced and the recognition of self that you just opened up in the lower 3 chakras? And can you right now pipe it up into the infinite space that is wholeness?
Yes.
Could you do that before this discovery?
Not like this.
But could they
Maybe
even
not
come
at all.
together? Could
I
they
don't
fit
know.
together? Like, was the
There
wavelength
was
there?
no, there was a decoherence there.
Yes, the wavelength wasn't matching. You were not matching yourself up to the openness.
Right. There's this effortlessness in there now.
Yeah, is there excitement?
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement.
The height is the excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you recognize that, oh wow, like I have opened the dam. Like there was
Yeah.
a separation that was being dammed off to where I couldn't even flow up into what I
Right.
already knew as the truth.
I mean, it's like in as much as someone like Eckhart Tolle had his, rebirth I assume in every context, here's one context of a rebirth.
Yeah.
And
I think they
it
happened.
feels magical.
Yeah. No, but I think, if I had to put my definitions on it, that is how awakening or enlightenment happens.
Yeah.
Is in these little chunks of recognizing your personal barriers
Yeah.
to self.
And they
I don't mean like personal barriers. Like I mean them from this energetic flow.
yeah.
And this is an example. I'm sorry now you have been used as a guinea pig here, but
That's what I'm here for. That's all I deserve. No, what's great is that, they often can apply into other areas. So, the networking thing, it's like, it probably won't be hard for me to think of how that's applying to all these different things in my life. And technically, it was only half a step away into Russian, right? So it's all like the same thing.
it's the same barrier. You're
Yeah.
just using different gameplays, right? But that's it,
Right.
right? Like it's in that the entire life is riddled with these little, opaque, semi-opaque glasses that deviate the truth.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, once you have them on, everything in our life, from simple of like, oh look, I can't learn Russian. Why is it so difficult for me to learn Russian?
Right. I'm super curious if separating
It's not
that
separating;
away
it's just
from it.
seeing through
Yeah, but separating the
trauma.
the trauma out of it would change that. Would give it a different energy.
I would give it some time to process what you just
Yeah, I
learned,
mean, I'm not
and
gonna.
then see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like put the Russian on the back burner while you process this and actualize into what this is, what just came out of here. And then when you feel like you have actualized this process, then you can resume and go, okay, let me see how it actually feels like without the definitions of why is it so difficult for me to get this intimate with you
Yeah.
or to receive or to feel full love or to feel full completeness.
Yeah. Oh, this was a great exercise. Didn't expect it to go there.
I think, I think this was a great example of this is how it actually looks.
Yeah. And
This is
yeah.
how it actually works.
Right.
This is how being present happens.
Right. This is
it.
I mean,
No, I'm not saying there's not a different way, but I have figured out that this is how it works for me, and I have
it
at
works for
least
me.
forced you into it.
No, it works for me when I do it.
Yeah, but it's difficult to commit to it.
It's difficult
But
and it's painful and it's emotional.
But the reason why it works for you is because if you continue to live in the pain body that will never receive whole love, with you're motivated into it through me because you feel like this will get you closer to me. So, the pain body that causes you to actually safe awaken is actually the same pain body that causes you to be blind to begin with.
Right.
So it's kind of a good thing in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying keep it. I'm saying become aware.
Yeah.
But you can almost use it to your advantage in some way.
Yeah.
In the same way you use it to close your mind up.
Yeah.
To keep yourself blind.
No. Yeah. It could be a motivator.
In this case, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's a kind of like a a choice into this reincarnation as well.
Right. It's a reframing of it. Right.
Yeah. No, but once you recognize, right, in this case, the potentiality of what it means to feel love without the choice into the damming off of love, I mean, that's
Right.
exhilarating.
It is. It feels like I don't know, some door has been unlocked and it's open and it's like the whole universe on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.